Hello, Pioneer viewers. Today we bring you a story that could define Russia's future, reshape Putin's authority, and change the course of the war itself. But before we get to that, let's take a step back into the shadow of this war. When the invasion of Ukraine began in 2022, the Kremlin launched it with the hope of a swift victory. Putin's government believed Kyiv would fall within weeks, but the 3 long years that followed have tested not only Russia's military power, but also its psychological limits. This is no longer just a battle fought on the front lines. It has become a test of endurance for a nation, a trial for its leadership, and a quiet rebellion among its people. Today, Russia still clings to its presence on Ukrainian soil, but that presence grows more fragile with every passing day. The war is not going as Moscow had planned. With Western support, Ukraine's military has become faster, more technological, and far more strategic. Drones, electronic warfare systems, and precision-guided weapons have stripped away Russia's one remaining advantage: sheer size. But perhaps the greatest danger comes not from the enemy's weapons, but from within. Low morale, desertions, and even mutinies among Russian troops can no longer be hidden. Letters from the front lines and videos leaking onto social media reveal soldiers asking the same haunting question: why are we here? Because this is no longer just a war against Ukraine, it's a war within Russia itself. Before we begin our report, a quick reminder. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our daily news and analysis. I personally read every single comment on our videos, so share your thoughts with us and tell us what topics you'd like to see next on The Pioneer. Now let's begin. As the number of casualties rise, logistics falter, and morale collapses, an unusual pattern has emerged in some Russian units: alcohol abuse, drug use, and a breakdown of military discipline. According to a report from British intelligence, alcohol and narcotic use has become widespread among Russian troops on the Ukrainian front, to the point where some units are now uncontrollable. Civilians living in occupied areas of Ukraine say that many Russian soldiers behave far beyond their orders, breaking into homes to find alcohol, drinking heavily, and leaving chaos behind. One woman described it simply: they came to drink, not to fight, as reported by Euronews. One example comes from the Belgorod region, where a Russian unit reportedly abandoned its positions after heavy losses and exhaustion. Sources say the soldiers were drinking on duty, leaving their posts exposed, and were later decimated by Ukrainian forces, as reported by Euromaidan Press. Commanders can no longer conceal the problem. The UK's Ministry of Defence stated in recent reports alcohol abuse has become particularly detrimental to Russia's combat effectiveness. For Vladimir Putin, the situation grows more dangerous by the day. On one side, battlefield losses; on the other, economic suffocation. Western sanctions have cut Russia off from the global financial system. Technology production has slowed. Foreign investors have fled, and energy revenues are shrinking. Ordinary Russians are feeling the pressure of rising prices, empty shelves, and fading hope. Kremlin propaganda still talks about great victories, but fewer and fewer people believe the words. And now, in the middle of this growing tension, a new development has shaken Moscow. According to the Express, Vladimir Putin has ordered one of the largest military call-ups in a decade, drafting nearly 135,000 new soldiers. The Kremlin claims it's a routine update, but analysts see it as a warning sign, a desperate move to reinforce crumbling lines. As losses mount, Moscow is struggling to hold the fronts it already has. Some Western experts believe this mobilization isn't just about Ukraine. It could be a prelude to renewed tensions along Europe's borders. The Baltic states and Poland are increasingly on alert, and NATO has already strengthened its eastern defenses. So, why now? Why did Putin decide to act at this precise moment? The answer may lie deep within the Kremlin's walls. Just weeks ago, one of Putin's closest allies, Dmitry Kozak, resigned, a rare event in Moscow's tightly controlled inner circle, signaling cracks at the very top. Kozak had been one of Putin's most trusted strategists for years. His departure suggests that this war is being lost not only abroad, but at home. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues to push forward. According to Le Monde, Ukrainian forces have crossed into Russian territory, conducting small but symbolic operations. It's a psychological victory and a message. The war has come to you. The Kremlin is trying to hide these developments from the public, but unrest is spreading. Video on Russian social media show families protesting conscription, mothers crying as their sons are sent to fight. No one can see the end of this war anymore. Even within the army, there are fractures. Some Russian generals have begun quietly criticizing the Kremlin's strategy. The war will drag on, one said, but there is nothing left to win. All signs point to an historic turning point for Russia. Putin still looks powerful, but the circle around him is tightening. The public remains silent, but silence does not always mean loyalty. History has shown that silence often comes before the storm. Perhaps Russia now stands at the edge of its own breaking point, a weary nation carrying the weight of a senseless war, and a leader still trying to prove his strength in a world that's already moving past him. So, what do you think, Pioneer viewers? Is this new mobilization truly routine, or is it a desperate move that could reshape the war? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read and value your opinions. And remember, this isn't just a story about war, it's a test of endurance for a leader, for a nation, and for truth itself. History may or may not remember who started this war, but it will remember who managed to survive it.